Today on WSRH Extra, we take a look at how our school was used as a hurricane shelter for the hurricane called Irma.
Also on Extra, we speak to heroes that helped local communities before the storm hit.
Plus, we check out where adoptive animals go under a state of emergency. WSRH Extra starts now. Welcome to this episode of WSRH Extra. I'm Alexa Koenig.
And I'm Shannon O'Sullivan. On this week's Extra show, we share some interesting effects Hurricane Irma had in our community.
That's right, Shannon. Even our local nursery got hit pretty hard by Hurricane Irma. Extra reporter Megan Froelich has this blooming story.
A hurricane means tons of preparation, especially for nursery owner David Froelich, who struggled to fix things up before Irma.
Just get everything prepared for before and after the storm, parts, supplies. Find an extra labor to come in after.
Workers at 3D Landscape worked long and hard to prepare for the worst. Alan Gaines and Cliff Thomas had many things to do to prevent the nursery from being destroyed.
It's just preparing for it. You gotta tie everything down and hunker everything down.
Just making sure everything is in a specific area so the wind don't get it.
Every worker like David Froelich Jr. plays a key role in prepping the nursery in order to protect the 30 acres of land for a large amount of damage.
I'll be one of the guys out in the storm that they tell you to stay in your house, seeing what's happening, what I have to prepare for. That's just kind of the way farming is. You take your job home with you, you never leave it.
Hurricane Irma was predicted to be a catastrophic Category 5 hurricane. However, there was not as much damage as expected. Still, there are some things that have to be fixed. The nursery lost power for 8 days, causing irrigation problems as well as the shade houses to collapse, and almost all of the plants were down.
It's not going to be a $100 fix, I can tell you that.
Nurseries like these are getting hammered all across Florida. For WSRH Extra, I'm Megan Froelich.
Hurricanes are already dangerous and stressful enough, but what about the first responders putting their lives on the line to save others during the storm? WSRH Extra reporter John Alvarez has the story.
Earlier this month, Florida was hit by Hurricane Irma, and while most people were at home prepping for the storm, others were out protecting the community.
I was here since Friday before the storm hit in preparation of the storm. So I actually left my home on Friday night and I ended up staying at the EOC Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, and then Tuesday.
Officers left home early to help prepare for the oncoming storm, some not even being able to return home and see their families until almost a week later.
We both actually left on Tuesday for the first time to actually pass by our own house to see our own damage.
Though the work is tough, most of them are used to this by now with Hurricane Irma, not being the first and definitely not being the last storm to hit.
It's not the first time. I'm prior military, so I'm pretty used to being away from my family during disasters. My husband's a firefighter, so it's the norm in my household.
A huge thanks to all first responders that helped out during the storm. For WSRH Extra, I'm Jonathan Alvarez.
Roads are an important part of a hurricane, before, during, and after. They can help you to evacuate, travel to get supplies, and even to help prevent flooding. But what happens when there is debris on our streets causing you from doing any of those things? Extra reporter Brittany Campbell has the story.
The cleaning up of Hurricane Irma was difficult for firefighters, but they received some special help removing the debris on the street before rescues. EMS Fire Captain Donald Thomas was on call and ready to rescue because of the special help.
To rescues, no, it was just really we that's why when we go out first thing, we send out strike teams. We send them right out first thing in the morning and basically clear the debris. So when we're able to move, one of the trucks needs to move, we go out, we hit the streets, we clear the streets and get everything out of the way, so when we do get a call, we can actually move.
What many thought would be an easy cleanup after the hurricane took a lot longer than expected. Due to the debris lying around, daily life was disrupted for people like Doug Little.
Yes, it has. Being that I leave very early in the morning, I traveled when the debris was still on the road after the storm. And when they pushed it up to the side of the road, some of the people like on our street leave it out in the road, and it has caused problems.
Because of how strong Hurricane Irma hit our local community and other areas, damage seems everywhere.
Yes, it has. We suffered quite a bit of damage at the course. We have a lot of trees down, and
What many may not expect is the possible risk of having debris lying on the streets causing injuries or of prevention from moving to a safer location. Thankfully, this was not the case for a local area.
In Belglade, there's been no serious injuries due to debris. Everybody pretty much stayed sheltered in place, or the people that didn't have secure homes, they went to shelters. So Belglade was affected more by floods. Some trees were down, a lot of high winds, but there was really no significant injuries.
Although there was a mess of debris on the streets, we are thankful we are able to pick up right where we left off before Irma. For WSRH Extra, I'm Brittany Campbell.
Due to the state of emergency Florida was placed under because of Irma, many locals felt unsafe in their own homes. Some were actually evacuated because of the danger Irma posed to their community. Luckily, our very own high school provided thousands with shelter and safety from Irma. WSRH Extra reporter Sadie Crooks shows us how our Hawk's Nest was available as a safety net.
During Hurricane Irma, Seminole Ridge High School was one of the many schools in Palm Beach County that provided shelter for those in need. Mrs. McKillican, a teacher here at the Ridge, was one of the many volunteers that stayed at school during the storm while facing difficult obstacles.
There are a lot of people here and a lot of people that did not speak English, so that was a challenge.
But the Ridge had a few extra hands to help out with the chaos.
The American Red Cross was here for a while.
Due to the amount of people staying in the shelter, it was a struggle to keep track of everyone. Dr. Campbell was required to stay throughout the storm and noticed the problems immediately.
Finding a place for everybody to sleep for 3 nights was very difficult.
Due to the severity of the hurricane, many areas of Florida were under a mandatory evacuation, causing a huge number of residents to stay in the Hawk's Nest for the storm.
We had a little over 2,240 people.
Everyone that stayed here at Seminole conquered Irma like a true hawk. For WSRH Extra, I am Sadie Crooks.
Many local restaurants and stores took a hard hit with various factors leading them into shutting down shop to prepare for the storm. Yet after the hurricane, businesses seem to take a turn for the better. Extra reporter Michaela Hamilton speaks to local businesses about the effects due to Irma.
In preparation for Hurricane Irma, many businesses changed their hours of operation or even just closed their doors to the public. After the storm passed, many companies struggled to regain a normal schedule.
Because of Hurricane Irma, we had to close down the store early on Friday. We were closed for the weekend. We wanted to open back up on Monday, but because the curfew was still in effect, we didn't reopen until Tuesday.
Bud's Chicken and Seafood had many people come in to get chicken and were busier than normal because of it.
Yeah, right before and right after the storm, people needed to stock up on their chicken, I guess. I don't know. They were running in.
With many people acting chaotic just to stock up on supplies that would last them through the storm, many stores like Publix were packed and had their shelves emptied.
Beforehand, we had to overstock with water, but people are savages, so they took all the water and we ran out before we realized it.
Although many businesses were affected by the storm, the damage was not as bad as previously expected and they were able to get back to business as usual. For WSRH Extra, I'm Michaela Hamilton.
A hurricane can be hard on everyone, even the animals and especially their owners. Figuring out a safe place for your pet during the storm is difficult. However, stray animals have it even harder. WSRH Extra reporter Aria Bass speaks with a local shelter on how they provided safety during the storm.
Before Hurricane Irma, there are a number of things that people must do to prepare, like get gas, water, and food. On top of this, pet owners have to worry about what they do to make sure their furry friends make it through the storm safely. Sophia Gonzalez, a veterinary assistant, explained how animals are kept safe during a storm like Irma.
In the room, mostly so that they're less anxious during the storm.
Animals get nervous during severe weather because the loud noises make them uncomfortable and can cause them to panic.
Animals are more inclined to be less nervous when they're in closed spaces and in dark areas, really small, where they feel like they can hide.
Of course, it's not only the room or how dark an area is, it's also about how safe and comfortable people make the animals feel.
Oh, what's wrong? You not happy? You're not happy.
Many animal rescues had to prepare for the hurricane, but on a much larger scale because of the huge intake of stray and abandoned animals.
We have the new bunker buildings, and we're going to fit as many as we can in there. And we're going to try to foster out as many as we can to help.
Workers at Big Dog Ranch provided shelter through the new building built for harsh weather. Thankfully, because of animal shelters and safe owners, animals in our community didn't seem to handle the rough storm too harshly.
For WSRH Extra, I'm Aria Bass.
Preparing for a hurricane can be a very stressful time filled with things to do, like getting supplies such as food, water, and gas. But no one can ever forget one of the most dreaded tasks when preparing, putting up shutters. But when two former Seminole Ridge students decided to be heroic, shutters were the least amount of trouble for some. Extra reporter Jalen Bruce has the story.
As Hurricane Irma approached Florida, many people started to prepare their homes to endure the storm, but two former Seminole Ridge students decided to put others' needs before their own. Dylan Lyons told us how he handled the preparations himself after helping others.
Yeah, we started mine the day before. We got like a few windows done, and then like the day of the hurricane, my family went to Georgia, so I went to my house and did it by myself.
Leonard Gomez and Dylan Lyons went around putting up shutters for those who needed help through residents contacting them through a single post.
Like through my business, like we have clients that like we mow their grass, and some of them are older, so kind of reach out to them and ask them if they ever needed help or anything like that.
We woke up from 4 in the morning, and the last house we finished around 10. So.
Not only did they work in their hometown of Loxahatchee, but they traveled all over West Palm Beach to help many people who could not do it themselves.
A lot of people weren't, fully prepared for the hurricane. It was a last kind of minute preparation. A lot of people that we helped, they didn't have a father figure or a man figure to go out, help them do it. They didn't have the tools. They didn't have anyone who can pull up the shutters, so we came out and helped.
After all the hard work that they did not accept the payment they asked for previously. Instead, they were rewarded with a sense of pride for helping others with the goodness of their hearts.
For the first 2 houses, we charged just to pay for the drill that we bought. We had to buy a drill so we could do that. So we charged for the first 2 houses, but there were some people that are charging like $40 a window, and we only charged $10 a window for the first 2 houses, and the rest were free.
We wish the best for those who have been affected this hurricane season and those who may be affected in the future. For WSRH Extra, I'm Jalen Bruce.
Coming up on WSRH Extra, we see what's going on in sports.
And now we're going to take a look at some driving safety tips. Hi, I'm Alexa Koenig. And this is Shannon O'Sullivan, one of the worst car drivers I know. Here at WSRH Extra, we like to practice safe driving. So today, I'm going to teach you and her a few car safety tips.
Who are you talking to?
Okay, let's get started. Shannon here has a phone in her hand. Whether you're a passenger or driver, seatbelts are important for your safety. Shannon just ensured her safety. Nice job, Shannon.
Again, who are you talking to?
The people. All right, next tip. Shannon here loves music, but the problem is, it's way too loud. If you can't hear other vehicles, you may be the cause of an accident.
So Shannon, do you feel like a safer driver already? I feel like you made me a pretty safe driver, Alexa.
Nice. For WSRH Extra, I'm Lex Koenig.
Again, who are you talking to?
Okay, Shannon. Next episode, we might want to do road safety.
So Alexa, I hear that Hammond Park has faced some pretty significant damages that caused a change in soccer season.
That's right, Shannon, and that's not the only change. Football season has a pretty crazy schedule right now. For those stories and more, we go to Extra sports anchor Danielle Leslie. Hi, Danielle.
Hi guys, Hurricane Irma has greatly affected sports all over the state on and off campus. For our Hawks football team, like several other sports at Seminole Ridge, their season has felt a major setback due to the storm. WSRH reporter Kevin McCarthy takes us through the challenges that our football team must overcome this season due to Irma.
Football season recently kicked off and Hurricane Irma has affected high school seasons all over the state already, especially for our hometown. Coach Parson and his team were majorly affected by the changed schedule.
We make up the game against Gardens on Monday, so we really only have 2 practice days to prepare for our very tough district opponent.
Because of the massive storm, the rest of the Hawks football season has seemed to take the biggest hit of all.
The wind kind of blew some of our trees down, so we had to pick those up.
Having 3 games in a row can take a toll on a team's physical health, but Caleb Costain seemed confident not only the team's ability, but a very important sideline factor to the boys' season.
We're all grinding. We take ice baths. We're getting held up. We got a great
Trainer, Miss Val.
Typically, the team practices 5 to 6 days a week. Not getting this practice affects their routine before a game, causing problems not only physically, but also emotionally.
You know, it always stinks because you're used to hanging out with those guys, you know, the coaches, the players, and you see them 5, 6, 7 days a week, and you miss them, you know, you bond with them, they're your friends, they're your teammates, they're your family, and you miss them, and during the hurricane, you worry about them.
The Hawks are currently doing well, even after Irma. We wish them the best of luck on the rest of their season. I'm Kevin McCarthy for WSRH Extra.
AYSO soccer has been around since 1964 and is one of many examples of off-campus sports that has to tackle many challenges due to the hurricane. WSRH sports reporter Anthony Bowie has the story.
Many children, teen, and adults across Waxahachie were looking forward to the soccer season, but unfortunately due to Hurricane Irma, it was delayed. AYSO coach Michael Coop was ready to attack the season head-on, but had some trouble picking up where they left off after the storm.
Well, they haven't had enough practice time. So our first game is next week. Usually we have 2 weeks of practice before that. So
when asked about how the season being delayed affected the team, Coop, although upset, was still excited for the season.
So that takes a process, and obviously it delays us. So it's unfortunate because then the kids suffer and we suffer.
With the problem of prolonging the season, Michael also said that they had a certain date to be done with the soccer season for field maintenance.
After the hurricane comes through, they have to evaluate to make sure that the lights are safe, that the fields are safe, that there's no trees impending anywhere. So that takes a process, and obviously it delays us. So.
After asking a first-season soccer player about playing his first week of soccer, this was his response.
I feel really good because I've always wanted to play soccer.
And for WSRH Extra, I am Anthony Bowie.
Thanks, Anthony. Hopefully the AYSO and football season will recover quickly. Next week is homecoming week, and our homecoming game is on the 6th against Palm Beach Lakes. Come out and support our football team. Well, that's it for WSRH Sports. I'm Danielle Leslie.
Thanks, Danielle. Well, that's it for this episode of WSRH Extra. If you have any story ideas, please tweet us at SeminoleRidgeTV. I'm Alexa Koenig.
And I'm Shannon O'Sullivan. Thanks for tuning in. Have a great weekend, Hawks.